seems like fantasy with building and architecture started at a very young age for me, building stump forts and tree houses, and I was forever in my youth involved with scrounging materials and building. Tree houses pretty much were my main theme in my youth. In high school, I really got into an architectural program. I spent a great deal of my high school time drawing really wild and creative, curvy buildings. Always having a fascination with buildings and stuff. I found a really creative builder that I was really impressed with his work. And I visited him looking at him, and I showed him some drawings that I've been doing. And he says, you better go buy a hammer, because nobody's going to build this stuff for you. So I took his advice, I bought a hammer, I quit college, and I started to build. I built my first house. And that first house, it's a wonderful house. I made a lot of mistakes building that house. I didn't understand solar at that point very well, and how to work a solar design and everything. So it was a steep learning curve, which I quickly learned about solar and solar design and how to build a passive solar house, which every house should be a passive solar house. There's no reason you need any more energy than that. There's just maybe in some parts of the world, yes. And passive solar house is the easiest thing in the world to build. You just have glazing on the south side of the house, you have insulation on the north and the roof, and you have some kind of thermal mass inside, so that heat that comes from the glazing gets stored in the thermal mass and keeps it back for the life of the house. And passive means not an active system. You don't have pumps, you don't have any of that. It's just completely passive. And so I prefer that system the best. And I think every house should be oriented towards the sun and capturing the sun. But yeah, and then so after I started building living in the forest, of course my media was the forest. It's a natural building or whatever. There's all this concern for using local materials, bioregionalism, using the materials that were locally available wherever possible. And for me that was the forest. I lived in the forest, so I had lots of wood to work with. And I did that, but it wasn't too long in my building where I was watching the forest disappear quickly around me, and the excessive logging living in Washington State and stuff. And I started thinking to myself, well, how can we use less wood in the house? And then, of course, I found out about strawberry, I found out about cob. And so I began to integrate these into my structures that I built, and I tried to use less and less wood, where I still use lots of wood in my building. There's still basically wood frames and wood roofs. And yeah, and like I said, once I found color, well, this is what I've been looking for all my life, is some low-cost, inexpensive, sculptable material that you can build with. And cob was everything in that regard. And the beauty and the shape and the forms that we can do with cob, you can't do with any other media. Adobe brick, you can carve it. You can also come up with similar shapes of form, but it's not as freeform as cob is. I'm working with, because cob, you are freeforming your walls. You're grading the walls as you build them. And that really appealed to me, not having to use molds or something, because like you can do light clay or you can draw them, but they have a powerful impact on the wall once you get the media that you work with to build it. No, I think it's the love of the human form too, and the soft subtleness of the body, and that when we're building a house, we are creating a shell for ourselves. We're another body which we operate from. So it seems natural to me that you would want that form to be soft and yielding as your personality. And so that's basically the fundamental attraction, I guess, to creating in that way, is that it does give a more homey feeling to it. You really feel a comfort in this space you're in a sense of familiarity to forms that are very comfortable to you. Because the earth is healing us. We're not healing the earth is healing us. It's this rising energy, this feminine ray that's rising out of the ground and rising into us. It makes us conscious enough to want to make these changes. It's my love for nature and my love for the forms and shape that nature makes that we as humans are not capable of that kind of art. We are capable, but it's extremely difficult to create the shapes and form that nature already provides. And so I just borrow from nature and use those shapes and forms. And it makes my job as a sculptor a whole lot easier when I let nature do all the work and find the shapes and forms that I'm looking for in nature, and then apply them to my architecture. This need to simplify and just really, what do I actually need in life, you know? And what I really discovered, what I really needed, was to let my soul come through me and do the work that it needs to do here on the planet. And that's the most important lesson. That's the number one. You know, whatever we do, whatever path we walk, they all lead nowhere. It doesn't matter. What matters is we walk our path with our heart. We walk our path with the loving caringness, which we're willing to feel that interconnectedness as we are a web of life, and we are strands in that web of life, and each strand connects to the other strands. And so it's coming to the understanding that we are a kinship. We all are a kin. We're all part of the same whole. And whatever we do to the others, we do to ourselves. So we really have to enter a state of returning to the natural state of, I don't know, that's the walk that I walk.